Social justice, food security, and knocking on people's doors are only a few of Alanna Mallon's favorite things. This past Saturday, we had the pleasure of canvassing for Mallon's City Council campaign in West Cambridge. Together, we knocked on 58 doors, and overall, she's knocked on roughly 50,000. With elections coming up soon on November 7th, here's Mallon talking to us about her campaign, her mission, and commitment to Cambridge.
It's such a nice night for canvassing.
Yeah.
The
weather's nice.
It's been raining every night, so it's been hard. That's no fun. So I'm just coming back to houses that I've canvassed this whole neighborhood before. And I'm coming back to houses that were not home. So this is the second time that I've been to these houses. So hopefully I'll get some people home this time. So right now I'm looking at a list. I purchased some software from the Mass Democratic Party that tells you all of the people that vote in municipal elections. So these are all a list of good voters, people who vote in city elections, not just the presidential and the gubernatorial. So
can you guide me through it?
Sure. Hold on. Let me just write a little note for Barry. Oops. I'm sorry. I missed you.
So we aren't reaching Barry today. Are there any ways that you're going to try to reach her again?
So I did a mailer, which should be in her mailbox actually today. So she'll get a little postcard that I stopped by her house, but also that I sent something in the mail. All right, so I'll walk you through the list. So this is all of the people that live in this neighborhood who vote in municipal elections. So it gives you their first and last name, their address, their party that they're registered, either Democrat, Republican, or undecided, their sex, their age, and that's it. But it is a little creepy. Like sometimes I'll say things like, "Oh, are you Amy?" And people are like, "How do you know my name?" I'm like, "Well, it's on this list here. That's why I'm knocking on your door."
And what are these numbers?
So there's numbers next to, let's say, survey questions, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I circle 3 if somebody just answers the door and listens politely to my spiel and then says, "Thank you very much." I circle 5 if somebody says, "Get out of here, I would never vote for you, you're a jerk."
How many 5s have you gotten?
I think there was just the 1 5.
Oh, good to hear.
And then if somebody says, "I will totally support you, I'm very excited about you, I'm going to vote for you, number 1, then I circle the 1. That's an awesome bike. You're welcome.
So what's the response rate been like knocking on doors?
For the number of people that are home, or just so it's usually about 20%.
Okay.
So you knock on 100 doors, you're lucky to talk to 20 people.
Makes sense.
Still 20 people more than you talk to when you're sitting in your house on your computer.
So you seem to know the area pretty well. How many years have you lived in Cambridge?
13 years. So I grew up in a town on the South Shore called Brockton, which was a former manufacturing town. Used to manufacture shoes, and when shoes started being made overseas, the economy of the town kind of crashed. So I grew up in a really low-income house. My parents were super young when they had me. They were 19, and they were not financially secure enough to have kids. So us growing up was pretty tough. And we definitely experienced food insecurity and housing insecurity. And when your kids start school here, you realize that Cambridge is very diverse in a lot of ways. There, people come from all over. But there's also a socioeconomic diversity here that exists in Cambridge that you're not really aware of until your kids are in school. And you're in classrooms and you realize that some kids are in need. So for me, recognizing that and wanting to make sure that if kids needed food over the weekend, that we could do something like that for them. Cambridge is a really wealthy town, but we have a lot of need here, and it's easy for need to be hidden in a place like this. Hi there, how are you? My name's Alanna Mallon. I'm running for Cambridge City Council. I'm just stopping by to introduce myself and say hello.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm a first-time candidate, but I started the Cambridge Weekend Backpack Program 4 years ago, which sends food home with students on the weekend who don't have enough to eat. So I started that in my kids' school with 15 students, and now it's a district-wide program. We send food home with 500 students every weekend.
Cool.
Yeah. So through that work, I started working in City Hall as the education liaison to Mayor David Marr for 2 years. So I have
David's a good guy, and I remember Dave.
I
He's a
love
good guy.
David. I know.
I coach Little League in North Cambridge, so I know, let's see, who comes over there. Fantini's a sponsor.
Yeah.
And David was one of the sponsors over there, and so there's a lot of nice guys over there.
He's always been, the thing I always loved about David is that even though he didn't have kids, he was always really supportive
very
of the
supportive.
kids.
Yeah, he was a good guy. I mean, real good guy. So, all right, good luck to you.
So I'd love to have your support.
Thank
so
you.
take a look at my information. If you have any questions, please
Hey, listen, I'm
feel
all
free.
for voting in the new people. I'm tired of the old people.
Thanks for saying that. I'd be happy to be one of the new people that you help.
There you go.
All right,
Have a
thank
good
you.
one.
Bye-bye. Michael.
If Michael were to be a Michelle, how would you have changed that speech? That spiel.
My spiel. That's a good question. So, how women and men hear my story starting in the Cambridge Weekend Backpack Program is so different. You know, women will go, "Oh gosh, yeah," and really feel emotively like that feeling you feel when you think about kids being hungry. And men are kind of more in they respond more to, I started this program, I've been able to expand this program, now it's in every school in the district, and then I started working in the mayor's office. If it's all very factual and how you were able to expand, they seem to really respond to that much more. I also sort of at the end when I'm talking to women and I ask for their vote, or I say I'd love to have your support, I say something like, you know, I think we need more can-do women on the council, or we need more women on the council. It's important to have the women's voices at the table, something like that. So it's kind of a code switching that happens. It's one of the hardest things, kind of trying to figure out on the doors who's going to be responsive to what. Like, so in that situation, I figured name dropping my boss's old name would get a response, and it did. But I don't always do that, especially if I'm in different neighborhoods or if I'm talking to different people, because my old boss was sort of an old Cambridge guy. And so it's just trying to figure out how to read people and react in that moment. I've made some mistakes for sure, but I've been doing this for a long time now, so I'm more adept at it than I was.
In the beginning,
yeah. Okay. There are 9 city council seats, and for the first time ever,
there's 9 women.
there are 9 women running. Technically, we could all win.
Hopefully.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
That would. But how many candidates are in total? 26?
26. At every level, we need more women. Women are, there's a great expression called, if you're not at the table, you're likely on the menu. Mm-hmm. Women are on the menu right now, and we need to be sitting at the table.
What would you say to girls, young girls, who are looking to be a part of politics in the future?
Well, have a great support system around you. This is a really hard thing to do. And like anything that you do as a woman, it's always important to have a really strong network of people around you that are helping you. I think for women, you kind of always need that constant feedback and help. I think for men, they just like to do it on their own. Mm-hmm. Having a supportive network, whoever those people end up being, is incredibly, incredibly important. It's hard for women to ask for things. It's hard to ask for money. It's hard to ask for votes. It's hard to ask for a lot of things, and you have to kind of step outside your comfort zone. And I've been able to do that kind of towards the end of this race, where I wish I would have been able to do it towards the beginning. So that would be my biggest pieces of advice. A great support network, and don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone.
So you talk a lot about the Cambridge Weekend Backpack Program. What are your future plans on tackling food insecurity with kids and households?
Well, it's interesting that you should ask that. I have, for the past couple of years, been working with one of our city councilors to change the way we charge for free and reduced lunch here in Cambridge. The federal guidelines for free and reduced lunch is $23,000. If you make more than $23,000, you are not eligible for free and reduced lunch. If you live here in Cambridge and you make $23,000, you can bet your ass you're below the poverty line.
Okay.
If you're making less than $80,000, you're below the poverty line here to live in Cambridge based on how much it costs to rent an apartment, utilities, and everything else. We just did a huge study. The city did a huge study to figure out what that income level is to live here and not be poor. So what we would like to do, myself and the sitting city councilor, is to change the way Cambridge reimburses. So anyone who's in that gap between that $23,000 and that actual income level should be eligible for free and reduced lunch. And so we're working with the city, we're working with the schools to try to figure out how to meet that gap and make sure that kids who need free and reduced lunch are getting it. Because we have the food, we have the resources. Kids should be fed at school. There's no reason that they should not be fed at school. If we're asking our schools to close an achievement gap, a persistent achievement gap, we have to make sure that they have food in their bellies so they'll be ready to learn.
That was Alanna Mallon, number 1 Cambridge City Council. For more information on Mallon and her commitment to Cambridge, go to alannamallon.org. This is Gisela Alvarez for the Simmons the Shark Radio.